Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
Who is this team, and what have you guys done with the Detroit Red Wings? I leave for a week, and everything turns upside down. I'm not complaining, but I don't trust it.
You're telling me Robby Fabbri isn't the savior?
No. He definitely is.
Okay, you don't besmirch Robby Fabbri this early in the episode.
I saw a tweet just before I got here from Rowan saying Robby Fabbri is the greatest Red Wing to ever wear the number 14. I think he did that knowing that Brendan Shanahan is my favorite player of all time. And I looked at that, I was like, yeah, he's right. It's Robby Fabbri. I have just been in absolute glee for the past week and then the next couple of days, thanks to vacation and then Robby Fabbri.
Boy, that's going to disappear when you wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's gonna go away fast. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm back.
Good for you.
I don't remember saying you could come back. Brad and I made it very clear that we can run this show by ourselves. I guess we're doing this on air now.
And yet I'm here. Oh, I always thought you guys would absolutely beat the hell out of me one day, but we got here and Brad has a sling on. Brad, what? Again, I leave for a week and you have a new baby, one less shoulder. Evan is assertive. Legitimately, is this a prank? All of our listeners, are you guys pranking me? Is this a joke? I must know.
I wish it was a prank, Ryan. My life would have been a lot easier the last 24 hours.
Oh, this happened yesterday?
Yesterday night, yeah.
Well, most importantly, you are now demoted to fourth favorite Crisco.
I'm okay with that role. I'm still above the Dogs, so I'll take that as a win.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dislike you wholeheartedly, and the Dogs are still well below you.
Much like the Red Wings, I'm going to finish this season near the basement, but not quite the basement.
Henrik's a good-looking kid.
He's a really good-looking kid. Looks like his dad.
He actually looks like you right now. But so did Mika to start.
And
out,
she
so.
now looks like a twin of my wife, so yeah, no.
How much did you guys cover Henrik Crisco in previous episodes? I don't want to dive too far into it.
Not that much. Enough. Everybody knows, but we didn't get into like great detail.
I told myself I wouldn't cry when I met him, and I didn't, which I think is important, and I applaud myself.
You did demand a picture immediately, though.
Yes. Yes. I realized, I was thinking, as I was packing for the cruise, I was thinking about how Henrik was probably going to be born when I was gone, and he was, which was rude. We should talk about that later.
Was he? No, you were still in town when he was born. He's November 1st.
Oh, yeah, I was still in town.
Yeah, it was the day you were leaving, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Henrik was born while I was gone, and I was thinking about that, and I realized the day I have kids, I'm going to sob like a little girl. I am going to absolutely sob like a small child, and it's going to be uncontrollable.
Probably. You look like that type of guy.
All right. So the Detroit Red Wings took the opportunity while I was gone for a week to do absolutely everything in their power to make news-worthy everything. And we're going to start with the most important thing. The trade was 1-for-1. After the Boston game, it was about 11:30 p.m. or 10. I don't know what time it was. I don't know where I was in the ocean, but it was like 11:30 p.m. ship time, which can't have been more than half an hour off.
When you sent me the message, which I was sleeping, by the way, rude.
Yeah.
You sent me the message, or sent us the message in the group chat that we had picked up Fabbri. I snapped to, and that was about 11:45.
Yeah, so it was about 11:30, 11:45. Steve Yzerman traded Jacob De La Rose to the St. Louis Blues for Robby Fabbri.
Yes.
Did you know the LGRW stands for Reclamation Project? We are the Detroit Reclamation Project Wings.
Hey, you know what? 1 for 2 on those so far.
One for three.
3. Yeah.
1 for 3. The jury's still out on Perlaney. It's
only been a few games.
It's only been a few games. Jonathan Bernier has more points than him and Adam Ernie combined, but we'll get to that later. But Robby Fabbri has more points than Jonathan Bernier, so he's the savior.
My first thought was, this is an absolute steal, right? Like, am I missing something? Is there any other component to this trade that I'm not getting? And I'm on Wi-Fi on a ship in the ocean.
From what I read, it was kind of a good gesture
by St. Louis.
By St. Louis. Like, they couldn't get him into the lineup. There's no point putting a guy like him on their fourth line. And I think he requested a trade in the summer. So it sounds like it was kind of like, you know what? We just can't get you in, and here's your opportunity. And we'll take, I guess, Jacob Delarose.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
If I'm St. Louis, I'm asking for a draft pick instead.
Yes. The part that... Okay, first, I'm going to get on a tangent here and just complain about this trade a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the trade itself.
How are you, Evan? You had to deal with this alone for a week. Are you
No,
okay?
no. I'm not complaining
This is why
about...
I'm going on vacation.
I'm not complaining about the trade. I'm complaining about the trade process. Because Jacob Delarose with a healthy scratch for that game at the last second after he was projected in the lineup, Stevie knew about this trade by at least 7 p.m. and he waits to drop it on us till 11:30 at night.
I think it's processing.
100% it is, but I don't care. It's rude.
See, okay, the Red Wings only make trades at the most unholy of hours and the weirdest possible times.
I feel like I should just be sitting on my phone twitching at like Friday night at 11:30 every week just in case. But anyways, for the trade, because I was reading the same thing Evan was. It was a favor to Robby Fabbri. He wanted an opportunity. He kind of lost his spot in the Blues lineup because he did miss a year and a half due to, what was it, ACL injuries?
Yeah. He had 2 surgeries, I think.
Yeah. So, Svechnikov, but worse.
I have to stop you. I didn't do this, and I have to go back and listen to how you guys did this, but this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast is sponsored by Labatt Blue.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yep. Celebrate with Labatt Blue and the Detroit Red Wings all season long. Both Fabbri trades, Fabbri goals, Mantha game winners, and everything in between. Find your specially designed cases of Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light at your local retailer to #SellYon. Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light, the official Canadian beers of the Detroit Red Wings and of Steve Yzerman's master plan.
Brad did an excellent job.
Did he?
Yep.
That's good. I knew you guys would, and I feel bad for not having listened yet, but I've been back in town for all of it.
Although someone did comment on how I read off the overtime questions, and this is, I guess they picked out the dad in me. They're like, you read the questions like you're reading a story to your kids. Like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It's because you're still fresh to it. I think I started out reading them like that, and then after your like 10,000th question, you're just like, oh boy. Inflection? I know. My voice can't handle that right now.
So yeah, anyways, it was a favor to Robby Fabbri. He's coming back. He only had 1 goal in 9 games with the Blues this year. Mind you, playing a depth role, et cetera, et cetera. When you miss that much time, players replace your spot in the lineup. It happens. And if your team's winning, I mean, the Blues won a cup, you're not going to have an easy way working your way back in.
No.
And of course, with that serious of a knee injury, much like we've been questioning Evgeny Svechnikov for the last year, are you going to be what you were before? And Robby Fabbri was a 40 to 50 point player before the injury. Will he be that again? He's not big. He can't play a depth role. He's either producing or he's useless to you, if we're being just honest. So he wasn't really producing anything for St. Louis. So for them, it was a low value asset. The reason why I'm actually shocked that Jacob Delarose was the return and that Detroit was able to pull this off is I'm stunned there wasn't a better offer on the table from another team. Like, if you're Ottawa, LA, all of these teams should have made the same gamble. And I would be, because again, as a Red Wings fan, I would have happily traded more than Jacob Delarose for Robby Fabbri. I'm happy that's all we did, but I would have been comfortable with a bigger deal. And I can't even say the entire NHL, because I can understand Fabbri not wanting to go to a Washington or, I don't know, a Tampa Bay where he knows he's not going to have a prominent role. He's like, I need to go to a team where I'm going to play to show that I can still play.
Yeah,
because he hasn't had that chance since he's come back. So I understand everything about the trade except for the fact that how no other team stepped up.
Ignoring that fact, because we don't know what happens on the back end, and by all rights, this could have been Rutherford saying like, "Well, the only 2 teams that really make sense are like Ottawa and Detroit, and Ottawa's not making any moves right now." So
yeah, and
Detroit
maybe Fabbri just said straight up, "Hey, Detroit's close enough, the closest team to my house that could use me, my home." He played with Bertuzzi, the Guelph connection,
which instantly panned out, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so I could see that like being his preferred destination. I mean, it would be a little weird. A guy requests a trade and then says, "Trade me here," and the GM accommodates. Yeah. If he did, Doug Armstrong is the greatest human being alive.
Did I say Armstrong or Rutherford?
I don't know.
I accidentally said Rutherford. I think I meant Armstrong. Here's the thing about the trade. You can love Jacob De La Rose, which, good guy, fine enough doing what he was doing. He actually had some games where I was like, oh man, he's doing really well in that De La Rose Helm abdicator line. You can be absolutely in love with him as a player, but there's no reasonable way.
You can still watch him. He plays for St. Louis now.
For St. Louis. You can watch him on NHL TV and not get blacked out if you live in Detroit. So there you go.
Yeah.
Double bonus. There's no rational, sane person in the world who can look at this trade and say it was a bad trade. You guys know me.
Oh, people tried in my mentions.
Oh, yes.
People tried.
You guys know me. I try to take a measured approach to things, and I don't outright call people stupid for having opinions that I disagree with, because I think that's the stupidest part of, sports fandom. You are dead stupid if you genuinely thought that was a bad trade. If you thought that Jacob De La Rose wasn't worth getting Robby Fabbri, holy, what are you watching? Jacob De La Rose, it's not even like it was low risk, high reward. It was literally, by every measure, objectively, subjectively, eye test analytics, zero risk, high reward.
Even if you look at this from a managerial standpoint, an asset management point of view, still zero risk, because it's not like we invested a second round pick in Jacob De La Rose. Montreal did that, and then Montreal gave him to us.
We claimed him off the waivers.
We put nothing into Jacob De La Rose, and we got Robby Fabbri, a former first-round pick, out of it. By the way, the Red Wings now have 3 of the first-round picks from the 2014 NHL draft.
Perlini at 12, Larkin at 15, and Fabbri at
21, I believe.
Yeah.
So, somewhere around there.
I saw a Boston fan tweet out, like, Red Wings have all 3. How's that working out for them? And we're like, 1, we didn't draft all 3 of them. 2, remember when you guys passed on Connor Barzal and Thomas Chabot? Like, are we really gonna bring up 3 first-round picks and you're the Boston Bruins?
In which we only drafted 1.
What angle is that? Also, bro, you lost. Imagine losing to the worst team in the league. Couldn't be us.
I mean, that top line is absolutely filth on Boston.
It's nuts.
But right now, we couldn't imagine losing to the worst team in the league because we don't play ourselves.
No. Hey, we're at LA now.
Are we?
We aren't the worst. Not the worst.
We don't completely suck.
Yeah, but we have 2 games. They have 2 games in hand.
Oh, well.
Spark notes. You guys don't need it, but just for anybody who wants to know, Robby Fabbri is a player who has had and has a ton of talent. Career outlook through age 23, or career results through age 23 has been disappointing because of 2 ACL tears, is it?
2 surgeries. I don't know if it was just a repair, like to...
One was like the first game of the year, I think, in his sophomore season.
Yeah. Shoulder injury and groin injury, just very injury prone. And then now he couldn't break onto the roster because he played for the reigning Stanley Cup champions.
What was his rookie numbers? I think they were really good.
He was 18 goals in like 70-something games.
18 goals, 19 assists in 72 games.
Yeah, it was basically
pretty good for
it was
a rookie.
basically a 40-something point pace.
11 goals in 51 games his next year.
So again, pretty close to a 20-goal pace.
St. Louis fan got in my mentions and was like, how are Red Wings fans thinking that he could be a top 6 player for Detroit when they can't when he can't even crack the lineup
our
at
top
St. Louis?
6 forwards?
I'm like, you have a weird, gross mismeasurement in rosters. You guys have just won the Stanley Cup, and Detroit is not good, my friend. It is exactly the same.
Some of our players' dads are still coming into the room to tie their skates.
Let's explain to you what a Darren Helm in your top 6 feels like.
So the idea for this is the basic mantra that Yzerman has never said out loud but exhibited so clearly, which is 80% of this roster is tied up. Yzerman cannot do anything with those huge anchor contracts. He can't move Nielsen. He can't move Abdelkader. He has to wait for DeKaiser's deal to come up, and there's a bunch of defensive contracts coming off. 80% of
He's working well with what he can work with.
The other 20%, he's doing everything that he damn well can to make as best he can. He is stockpiling on cheap, young talent.
Reclamation projects.
Short term, no long-term commitments, low money, high talent, high upside. Adam Ernie doesn't work out? All right, RFA. Here's
$1 million.
Perlini's at least been getting chances. He's been showing well.
Perlini doesn't work out in the end? RFA. If Fabbri came over and did not do a damn thing, he's an RFA. all of those guys are Perlini and Fabbri are 23 years old. Adam Ernie is 24 years old. Yzerman gave up Jacob De La Rose. I know some of you don't like it. I know some of you are De La Rose fans, which I
What
think
did he give up Perlini, 4th round pick?
What do we give? No, Perlini was
Alec
Regula.
Oh, yes, that's
Fourth
right.
round pick was for Adam Ernie.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys don't love this, and some of you are endearingly very in love with Jacob De La Rose. He is quintessential guy. He is
Like I said, I'll get you the TV schedule for the St. Louis Blues. You figure out when he's in the lineup, fire those games up.
We still have Jacob De La Rose. His name's Christopher N.
We have a lot of De La Roses.
Yeah, just tell yourself that he just went to the court and changed his name. They're both Swedish. They both got the same color hair. They both can skate pretty well, and they both cannot produce offense. They are the same player. And again, Ryan put it perfectly. Quintessential guy.
They both went as ghosts for Halloween.
Yeah. The trade happened, and we said Robby Fabbri could come in, not score a goal, and Yzerman still won this trade, which of course wasn't a necessary thought, because in his first damn game as a Red Wing, he scored twice, including the game winner.
Yes. Both on the power play.
Both on the power play. The connection
Power play goals. What are those?
Oh my! Like the connection with Tyler Bertuzzi is just. They played together with Guelph in the OHL.
They won an OHL championship together with Guelph. And remember, Fabbri was the driver on that team, not Bertuzzi.
Watching them hug is like, oh man, this is actually true brotherly love. Like that is a great connection to look out for. You know what this means?
And you know what? It's worth noting too. Brendan Perlini was also a minor hockey teammate of Dylan Larkin. So I don't know if that's why Yzerman made these moves or if it was just happy coincidences.
I think Yzerman's just trying to get as much talent as possible in this roster.
But it helps the transition when you walk into a new room and see a couple familiar faces.
So let's talk about the games. I've watched some recaps, but you guys are the ones who actually watch the games.
Yes, they were fun. I don't know how to feel.
Well, not all of them.
There was some sadness topped with some happiness.
The first 2 games were... First 3 games.
Oh, yeah, you missed the full week. I'm just so on cloud 9 from the last 2 games.
4 games, yeah. Yeah. It was painful to see updates on, and then watching the recaps was even more painful.
What was the game before the Rangers?
They lost to Carolina 7-3.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that one.
Yeah, you were here. Were you here for that one? No, you weren't here for that one. That was bad.
They lost to Florida 4-0.
That was bad.
I got to Fort Lauderdale. The crews left out of Fort Lauderdale. And I was like, oh, the Red Wings play tonight. Oh, they play Florida. Mel, they're 20 minutes away. They're literally 20 minutes away from our hotel. We almost went to go watch them. We had a really nice dinner plan. I was like, no, let's go to dinner. She's like, are you sure? I kind of I want you to go. This seems like it would be fun. I was like, no, trust me. I really don't want to, we both love good food. I don't want to ruin a perfectly good dinner.
You would not have even celebrated a goal.
No. I laughed my ass off in the middle of the restaurant. She's like, what? I was like, they lost 4-0. She's like, oh my God. They lost to Nashville 6-1.
Unless you believe in the butterfly effect.
Oh yeah, the Nashville one was great.
Yeah. Unless, in which case, if you believe in the butterfly effect, they lost because of you.
But, oh, yeah.
Highly likely.
And then lost to the Rangers in another Lottery Bowl game. So that was 4 straight huge losses.
4 straight blow losses. The main conversation, one of the episodes you missed, was after the Ranger game or whatever one it was. And we're just like, okay, if they don't fire Blashill here, it's not happening this season.
No.
Because you are just spent the last 2 weeks getting absolutely trucked by everybody you played.
Yeah.
It's one thing to lose that many games in a row. It's another one to lose all of them by 4 or more.
Well, Pierre LeBrun came out with an article that clarified a point that we didn't know about because the NHL has no rules about publicizing coaching contracts, which is the second year of Blashill's contract is a second-year team option. So it's not guaranteed. The team picks up the option.
That would have saved so much anger on the summer podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for not releasing that, Detroit.
Coaching contracts should be mandated to be released. Coaching GM contracts should all be released by mandate. I'm wholeheartedly about that. I don't imagine with Babcock leaving Detroit and generating all of that money and changing the coaching market, it just has to be out there. Like the amount of speculation and conversation from people in the know who had no idea about this. Like it just casually came out. Everyone's like, what the hell? Anyways, like you said, if it wasn't happening then, it's never happening. And knowing that, and then now knowing the second year pickup, if Yzerman's going to get rid of Blashill, he's not doing it in the middle of the season.
No,
there's no point.
That was my big signal that, Yeah, no, Yzerman's planning on riding him. It has to go spectacularly off the rails.
We have to lose for like a month straight.
Yeah, he did like that for them to get rid of him, because that was maybe the worst stretch of hockey we've ever seen the Red Wings play.
Yeah.
In our lifetimes, like legitimately.
Also, I missed some good games.
Yeah, but then the Red Wings actually did play one very good game against Boston, and then a snooze fest against Vegas with an amazing finish.
Oh man, the Vegas, like the first. Let's talk about Vegas first because it's just fresh in our minds. That game, nothing happened for the first 50 minutes.
By the end of the second period, the shots were 10-9. 40 minutes of hockey, 19 shots on net total. 19's like, you could argue, a low number for one team through 2 periods.
Yeah, it's
Because that's not even a 30-shot pace.
if you're Vegas, you had 19 through 2 periods, like that's fine. But against Detroit, you should have more. And there was 19 between 2 teams.
It was I think I sent a sarcastic tweet around then. Like, imagine paying money.
Was Vegas on a back-to-back?
Yes,
I think so.
they were.
That might be why.
Detroit wasn't.
Dylan Larkin.
Oh, boy.
Dylan Larkin missed an open net because the puck skipped and then missed the net on a breakaway. Just wasn't his game. But Athanasiou stayed hot, scored on the power play. Again, we're allowed to score on the power play. 1 for 2 tonight.
We're allowed to score on the power play.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to check something, and I actually don't fully know how to fact check this because I don't know where this stat would be kept. I'm pretty sure that's the first power play goal the second unit might have scored this season.
Quite possibly.
They might have got one in one of the games I didn't watch, but I know for a fact every game I've watched they haven't. Because I've been paying attention for it.
Madison Bowie had an absolutely atrocious game. He was getting burned and walked and absolutely dummied left, right, and center, and then scored a goal while being tripped while falling down to tie the game for Detroit.
You could argue
Subban should not have let that in.
Subban should have had it, but 2 things in Subban's defense here. He's not expecting a shot coming from Bowie in that position. Bowie's literally almost on the ice when he lets that thing go.
Yeah.
So definitely Subban gets a pass on the element of surprise there. And B, that thing went off the post and in. It's not like that thing went a foot inside the post. Like, Bowie put that in the perfect spot. So I would still make the argument Subban should have had it, but it's understandable why he didn't. Fun fact about Malcolm Subban, 4-0 in shootouts in his life, 16 for 16 on saves. He's never allowed a shootout goal.
His brother is PK Subban.
No, shut up.
Yep.
Man.
And then, of course, with a minute and a half left in the game or something like that?
Fabbri.
No, 30 seconds left in the game. Fabbri.
With a ballsy cross-ice pass that Blashill would have wrung his neck for had it not worked.
Robby goddamn Fabbri.
Oh, I want Detroit to make more. I like risky plays because they work sometimes like this.
Picks up the puck on the board, avoids the defender. It's on the left side of boards. Saucer passes it across the ice, up the ice, off the boards to Mantha. It was a great send. Mantha readjusted to catch the pass, burned the defender. He had a defender on him, right? He
had a guy chasing him, but the guy wasn't catching Mantha.
I was just too fixated on Mantha. Rips down, tucks it in under Subban's arm.
Subban gave him nothing to look at.
Dagger, game winner, Anthony Mantha should get the keys to the city. End of story.
Second time this season, Mantha scored the game winner in regulation with less than a minute left.
Currently on a 47-goal pace.
Thank you, fantasy.
11 and 19?
11 and 19.
Ooh.
That was a thrilling last 10 minutes of the game. Game before, against Boston.
Power play was so easy. It was Fabbri-SY.
Oh, man. I had the Boston feed for that game.
Me too. It was bad.
Oh, there's a lot of torture I would take than have to listen to that again.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, because in a Canadian market watching the Red Wings, if the game is being broadcast nationally in Canada, which that one was, we don't get to pick a feed.
No,
we get whatever one Sportsnet was carrying.
They got some sunglasses on when they watch those games. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Dylan Larkin obviously opened up scoring, and then Robby Fabbri scored 2 goals, both on the power play, both straight from Bertuzzi.
Both on the same play, essentially.
Yeah, identical goals. And then Anthony Mantha Boston contributed to the Anthony Mantha 40-goal fund by giving him an empty netter.
Well, Mantha's most impressive play that game was actually his secondary assist on Fabbri's first goal, because he had a beautiful cross-ice pass from the far point to the far corner where he hit Bertuzzi in stride in a saucer pass. And those are the type of passes that open up the defense that allow a Robby Fabbri to creep into the slot uncovered.
So Detroit loses big to Ottawa and New York and beats Boston and Vegas.
As expected.
As expected.
Boston did not look very good other than their first line that game, and
Even
Brad Marchand was up to his usual antics, so you knew they probably weren't going to win that game.
Philip Hronek got to live everybody's dream. He got to punch Brad Marchand.
He got a couple good ones right in the kidneys.
Good for Hronek.
Body shots, very underutilized in hockey fights.
Yeah, there should be more of those because those are devastating.
When a guy's trying to punch out, like, why stop punching helmets? Hurts.
Yeah, just punch him right in the kidneys. Pasternak is the nastiest player in the NHL right now.
Absolutely.
He can do whatever he wants when he wants.
Except beat the Red Wings.
Well, we'll see.
So we will play again pretty soon.
Maybe he didn't want to.
The Red Wings are still 30th in the league. LA is behind them at 31st, but they do have 2 games in hand, and they're only 2 points back. So Red Wings still firmly in the lottery division.
We're just looking to get 82 games wrapped up before Christmas and just call it.
If we could, that'd be great.
Yep.
Lafreniere and Byfield and Raymond and Holtz all looking so good. We had to squeeze in a bit of coverage in them last episode just to give Red Wings fans at that point a reason to smile.
First week in November, talking about prospects. That's how you know where your season's at.
Someone actually asked, they sent a message to me and they're like, can you please start doing your prospect profiles soon? We need every angle covered.
If you guys want us to start soon, I mean...
We have it. I don't mind starting now, except for the fact that we don't have a lot of sample size on these guys this season. Like they've played for like a month and change.
A lot of the work that would need to be done, we'd have to do essentially a lot of the manual work that scouts would be doing on their own. It's like we would love to do that for you guys, and like we could probably do reasonably well, but Brad just had a baby. Evan's going on vacation.
Yeah, and I'm not typing anything for a bit.
Painting a whole house.
No, yeah, I'm very limited for the next 2 weeks at least, and then probably longer.
Because you dislocated your shoulder like an idiot.
I really hope it doesn't require surgery.
I will laugh at you so hard if it does.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually hope or not, because like a surgery would be a definitive fix.
Yeah.
The actual process would suck, but then like there probably won't be too many lingering issues.
I want to talk a little bit more about the trade. So I had a couple conversations, and you know what? These are genuine conversations that I think are worth bringing up from some people who are frustrated with the trade, not because they thought Jacob De La Rose was worth keeping over Robby Fabbri. They were saying, well, why are we bringing in Fabbri, and now he's obviously going to get top 6 minutes when players like Zadina and Veleno are still in the minors, and Rasmussen is still down there.
Oh, no, we covered this last episode.
Oh, did you?
Accidentally before the trade.
Oh, accidentally before the trade.
Get up to speed, please.
Well, long story short for those people, because I know we had a lot of conversations about that. This team isn't just bad. This team they're not on pace to even reach like our low end projections when I projected them to come 31st in the league bad. Like they were, what was it, like a 60-point pace on the year? Like not good.
That won't do it.
No. So there's this contingent of people who are just angry about Zadina. They're like, if he's not in the league yet, like what are we doing with him? I'm like, he's 20 years old.
People are angry about everything.
Yeah, so I was talking to Mel about it, and she's like, why? I was kind of trying to explain the conversation because I had my head buried in it. I was like, looked annoyed. And she's like, why are people like that? I'm like, some people just want to be angry about something at all times.
People immediately jump to just complaining and criticism.
Yeah, just go out, get a life, and get valid reasons to be angry about things.
Yeah.
That's like taxes.
Taxes are kind of easy. They essentially do the whole thing for you.
I could probably do like a 45-minute thing on hospital wait times today if you want.
You've been talking a lot about hospital wait times, my friend.
Yeah, Brad's anti-government right now.
I went to small town hospital to actually like see if my shoulder needed to be set back in place. I'm the only person in the building. I go into a walk-in clinic this morning just to get my x-rays done. 3 hours.
They had horses turning the turbines to create power for the hospital.
Yeah, the reason I had to go get my x-rays because the hospital I was in King Garden didn't actually have an x-ray tech in the building.
There's a shocker.
So the things have been going well in the AHL. Zadina's on a little bit of a tear. 4 goals in 6 games.
That's why you don't bring them up to the NHL on a whim. Let them develop and contain that momentum.
Michael Rasmussen's back in the lineup for the Griffins after his injury.
8 points in 9 games.
Moritz Seider is still doing great for them. Still working on his game, still developing. 7 assists in 14 games for him.
And 11 bodies.
Yeah, he's
he's got a body count going. He's been dummying some guys down there.
And if you guys don't think that that's valuable, you don't understand how NHL players progress. Not every player is Crosby. Not every player is Ovechkin. Not every player is McDavid. Statistically...
Also, what does that make him? A half-point player as a defenseman in their first year in the AHL?
Yeah. It's so rare.
That's great.
There's so few 18-year-old defensemen in the AHL to begin with.
Yeah.
Half a point pace is phenomenal. A lot of secondary assists, so not that we're going to get like too high, but
Points are points.
points are points.
I think people just don't understand where their favorite players came from. If you think the AHL is not valuable, I want to think of your 3 favorite players in this current era. I don't want to talk about, way
Sidney
back when.
Crosby.
Dylan Larkin.
Alexander Ovechkin.
I did not miss you guys at all.
Victor Hedman.
Look up where they played before the NHL. I guarantee you they played NCAA hockey or in the AHL.
Jack Hughes.
Jacques Hughes.
Rasmus Dahlin.
I loathe you guys. I actually... You're not good people. You know that, right?
Quinn Hughes.
Played in the A, did he not?
He did not.
God. Oh, but he played in the NCAA.
Yeah, he played in the NCAA.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was drafted and went right to the NHL.
No,
He had a year after.
Don't pick.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't pick
Capo
cream of the
Caco.
crop. Stop it. We're done. Don't
Kenny
pick
Malkin.
cream of the crop. Actually played in the AHL, believe it or not.
Did he really?
No, of course
No,
not.
he
of course
absolutely-
not. He defected from Russia
He
not
had
to play in the
7
AHL.
points a game.
Yeah.
Jack Eichel.
I'm so tired.
Ryan O'Reilly?
Maybe. Well, let's look him up. Ryan,
Any potential win?
Yeah. Well, if it's not like from they were an overager in the O or whatever it was, like they probably played some kind of. Oh, yeah. He went right from the O to the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, were they really bad at that time?
He was a second-round pick and went straight to the NHL. They must have been.
He had a year where he went to the
How about this?
lockout.
Patrick Hornqvist.
Okay, Patrick Hornqvist.
If he didn't play in the AHL, your point is completely invalid.
You know what? That's fair enough. Patrick Hornqvist.
He was the last overall pick in a
No,
draft.
but he's Swedish.
What does that mean?
He played in Europe.
Mort Sider's German.
Until how old?
And he plays in the AHL right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Milwaukee Admirals.
Boom.
For how many games? How many games?
49.
Okay, that's enough.
okay.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Look,
We'll accept.
Any player who's not a premier prospect has some kind of development time, whether it's staying in the juniors after they're drafted, or playing in Europe, or playing in the AHL or the NCAA. It's so common. So many players that you love that end up being fantastic NHL players, A, take a long time to develop, or B, play some kind of non-NHL professional hockey.
It would be great to have Philip Zadina on this team scoring 30-plus goals, but we're probably almost in the exact same place we are right now.
The Red Wings could hardly get someone to give Andreas Athanasiou the puck. Do you think they're going to foster success for Philip Zadina right now?
You want to take the really absurd, obscure glass half full view here. If Philip Zadina was on the Red Wings and Philip Zadina was doing well this year, we wouldn't have Robby Fabbri right now.
Bam.
Because
Boom.
because Zadina would have filled that gaping hole we had in the top 6 on the wing, and instead we got Fabbri to fill it.
If we end up having like Fabbri, insert any center here, and Perlini, both of them producing at like a 20-goal pace on our third line, that could be phenomenal.
Even away from what Fabbri has been doing himself and bringing to his own line, he's the reason the top line reunited.
Yeah.
Because they put him with Filppula and Athanasiou, and they did well.
That's the nice thing about bringing in competent pieces that allows you to set the table for the ones that works, and it can take some pressure off that line.
And all of a sudden, the third line is Perlini, Ernie, Nielsen. Not good, but not tragic.
No.
Abdelkader free.
Yep.
That was legitimately my first thought after everything settled with Fabbri was this now opens up another opportunity to test out this new player with Athanasiou and whatever one of Nielsen.
It's weird how when you have skilled players, you can like try and find chemistry and effective lines.
People keep forgetting that. Bring up Zadina. Man, he's very clearly demonstrated that he's not a player that's going to generate his own success because that is exceedingly rare. Stop watching a lot Elias Pettersson and imagining that everyone's going to be him.
And he's on a heater in the AHL. Why would you bring him up?
Instead, bring up Robby Fabbri, who has something to prove, a boatload of talent, and comes at no risk. There's just no way to hate
So
it.
the next target Steve Yzerman should have on the reclamation project.
Pull your RV.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, Ken Holland's not giving him up for cheap, although he might have to at some point.
They
No.
still look at him like a 4th overall pick, right?
Yeah, and he's I think top 5 in scoring in that league right now. So
Yeah, he looks sick.
He's playing well right now. So Holland knows if he ain't playing for us, he's going to be valuable to someone. And I'm not sold he will be, but
We
he
need another-
likely will be.
So next, we're on to the next person who's underperforming.
Yeah, who else can we just look around the NHL and look for the island of misfit toys?
Well, something I want to bring up. We've been talking about Fabbri for some time.
we have?
Yes, we constantly have brought up Robby Fabbri as a target.
I think when they were in the playoffs last year, we brought him up a few times,
Yeah.
saying it's crazy he's not in their lineup.
Yeah.
And before all of his crazy injuries, we always talked about Fabbri as a guy to target, maybe even in exchange for, a high-end piece or a higher pick in the past, because that's what he would have been worth. The fact that Yzerman signaled down on that and picked that up when his stock was at its lowest is exactly what you want to see from a GM. Again, this isn't...
Which is the main reason Athanasiou hasn't been traded.
Don't trade away talent for no reason.
Especially when they're down.
It's funny that the chorus of trade Athanasiou for nothing trades or tweets have kind of gone away, eh?
Buddy, just that tweet I sent today about Athanasiou heating up? ? It was all trade him responses.
His stock is high, sell high, sell high.
Oh,
I'm
my
not saying no, under no circumstance trade him. No, there's a lot of circumstances. Where
Every
I would say
man's got their price.
Yeah, trade Athanasiou, but don't dump him.
I'll trade Robby Fabbri for a first-round pick right now.
I mean, how many first-round picks? Let's not get ridiculous.
At
Top
least
15 projected team at least.
So the Red Wings have Anaheim coming up and LA after. Anaheim coming up. That'll be the last.
Oh,
one for the Wings.
another round of the toilet bowl.
Yeah, it's their West Coast road swing. So they'll have Anaheim
Ooh.
before our next podcast, and then LA Thursday at 10:30, San Jose Saturday at 10:30.
So by the likelihood of things lately, we're gonna win one of those games.
We're
Because
going
only
to-
One team is good.
Yeah, we're going to beat Anaheim and we're going to get clowned by LA.
You
This
know
is how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Ivan, I think you tweeted out after the Rangers
I tweeted
loss.
out our next games, and of course, we're just spanking teams.
2-0,
right now.
yeah.
Anaheim's the next one.
Anaheim.
We're gonna win that one, and that tweet's gonna age beautifully.
Lose to LA, lose to San Jose, and OT or something like
Yeah.
that.
I would
Yeah.
rather beat Anaheim and lose to those teams to bring their points up in the
Hey,
standings.
look, man, if you're gonna beat Boston and then Vegas in back-to-back games, you do whatever you want the next week. You've earned it.
The one thing I wanted to bring up very quickly was in the Boston game, and thank Robby Fabbri coming in the lineup. This helps us kind of put people in their spot in the lineup. I actually thought Darren Helm played really well.
On the third and fourth line, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
against Boston. I thought he had maybe one of his best games of the year so far.
It's amazing how good he looks when he's playing a role suited for him.
No.
Yes,
It's
he was skating really well. He was getting the pucks in deep, which I hate that I just
Pucks
said
in
that.
deep, banging bodies.
Yeah, pucks on net. Everybody's buzzing out there. I thought he was really good along the boards, and that's exactly the game that he's suited to. And I thought he played really well.
I know Blashill's line blender will be out in full force at some point in the next
yeah.
week or two, but the fact that you can actually, not that they're good scoring lines, but the Red Wings are actually employing 3 attempted scoring lines right now is so refreshing because we're not seeing a Helm or an Abdelkader or a Glendening who's hurt or whoever bumping up to the second or third line for balance. Ernie, Nielsen, and Perlini is the third line, and those are all guys who, in theory, should be able to produce offense. For all of them who have 0 points on the season,
0 points between them.
it's not happening.
Playmaker Jonathan Bernier.
But at least they're attempting it, and that's the point.
Franz Nielsen, Adam Ernie, Christopher N., Trevor Daly, Brendan Perlini, Alex Biega, and Dylan McElrath. Well,
McElrath gets a kind of a pass.
3 games. Biega has 5 games, so whatever. All of those guys have one thing in common, and it's that they have 2 fewer points than Jonathan Bernier, who has 2 points.
Is Jonathan Bernier our starting goaltender going forward from now on?
It was interesting. He played Boston, right?
He had that filthy save on
Oh,
Pasternak.
yeah, he did. That's right. So he just played back-to-back games against 2 of the top teams in the league with a day of rest in between. So that is very much worth noting.
Yeah.
Everyone's forgetting. Last year, the Detroit at times had anomalously good goaltending. I love Jimmy Howard. I like what Jonathan Bernier have done, but neither of them are phenomenal goaltenders at this stage in their career. Jimmy Howard at this point has just been battered and beaten emotionally.
Yeah, that guy's got
physically.
shell shock for sure.
The regression back to the mean this year has been demonstrated because the Red Wings have not been bailed out of games that had no business being in, which is how they got.
That's where all the
season.
1-goal games have now disappeared.
Jimmy Howard, I think. It was while you're gone. Jimmy Howard got pulled in back-to-back games, and all of a sudden Bernier's getting back-to-back starts. You can't tell me that's a coincidence.
No, it's not. Bernier will be the starter for now until he does the exact same thing, and then Howard comes in, and it's just when you have two subpar goaltenders, it is what it is. Like it's just gonna keep happening.
It's really funny. I guess not funny, but it's really interesting because we played where the games where Jimmy was in, the other team was superiorly better than the Red Wings, and it showed on the scoreboard and the entire game. But when Bernier was in the net, I don't know about the game tonight because I didn't see it, but against Boston, we were definitely the better team than them. So, maybe it's not a fair shake. If Boston came out well rested, we could be having a different conversation, but the stats don't lie.
And the analytics on Howard and Bernier this year are not good. They're both near the bottom of the league. Jimmy almost in the basement. Bernier above him, but not.
There's very few goalies who can be on a bad team and bail them out, like a Gibson last year kind of thing.
A lot of their lack of success is obviously due to the team in front of them. But even when you go into the expected goals for, they're not doing great. But I personally felt Bernier's played pretty well this year.
No, I think he's been decent.
He's good for his one stinker a game. Like, that's just who Jonathan Bernier is. Like, he's never going to get you the goose egg. But
remember the Leafs brought him in thinking he was going to be their starting goaltender?
He was a highly rated goal because he was a 12th overall pick, wasn't he?
He was basically the backup who just couldn't get his starting role.
Because of Jonathan Quick. He was buried behind Quick in Quick's prime.
Yeah.
And then, so, again, and the Leafs, when they got him where we are now, they were terrible.
Yeah.
If you guys can't hear, or you might be picking it up, it's Brad's new baby, Henrik, who's crying, which is rude. He has not learned when podcasts are happening. You're not supposed to
cry
shriek.
on the podcast.
It's the first rule.
He wanted to make his WWP debut. Although, if either one of you punch me in the shoulder right now, I am breaking that rule.
No one has ever cried on this podcast, eh?
Yeah, no, but like, there's a high risk. I could sneeze right now and pop this thing out and start crying. So
Promise?
Maybe actually.
I have an ammonia packet in my pocket. We'll get into overtime soon. Some news from around the league. Seattle's releasing their name before the All-Star game. That's not
the bitch
fun.
Bitch pigeons.
The pit to the bitch penguins.
That would be amazing.
Hold on, someone give me Mario Lemieux's number. We have something to discuss.
What are the trademarks around bitch penguins?
So I was listening to 31 Thoughts, and Merrick brought something up, which I started laughing my ass off on the plane because I knew you guys would hate this. The lacrosse goal.
Oh, God.
Yes, no, we talked about it at length.
Yeah, we did, actually.
Yeah. He was doing it just for the sake of conversation.
He was.
He's
a great host.
He's in the same boat as us. He's pro fun, but I guess people were talking about that it shouldn't count, which screw all those people.
Please shut up.
I can't.
We also talked about the Kachuk goal. Did you have any passing thoughts on that?
I have not had a chance to see it yet.
It's the filthiest thing you've ever seen.
The
through the legs onesie in the slot in overtime.
I saw that.
Game winner.
Better than the Svechnikov.
Yes, I think we came to that agreement.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, still behind the Blake Coleman goal.
I think that's the goal of the year.
I think so too.
How do you beat that?
I've completely changed my opinion. I think Kachuk's goal is the best goal.
Yeah, if you take out context, because his is overtime probably gives him the edge. But if we're just looking at objective difficulty of the goal, I think it's Coleman still. I don't even have the wrist strength to be able to put a one.
You might
top
soon.
Oh, dude, my left hand. It had to be my right arm too. It just had to be.
A bunch of righty,s
I had to fill out a form at the clinic today.
What, with your left hand?
That poor nurse who had to process that.
We're gonna get into overtime, which for this episode of the Winged Wheel podcast is.
Oh, you think you're skipping by?
I knew it.
No, Ryan, you're not skipping by it. We're getting political.
Yeah, you know what?
It's not even it's not political.
No, it's not. It's not political, and
it could be. We could make it.
No. Intro it so I can take this away, please.
Okay. Don Cherry said racist things because It's Don Cherry. Ryan, take it away.
For those of you who don't know, I'm the child of immigrants.
We couldn't tell.
Well, my tan right now probably gives it away.
Yeah.
I was born in Canada. My family immigrated from Iraq with my older brother. We're Chaldean. They were basically fleeing persecution and war. I'm fucking tired. I'm just tired. That's it. I'm just
could have
tired
ended
of
the
people.
statement there. I'm just tired of people.
You know, I don't give a shit what side of the political spectrum you fall on. You know, I don't care what your beliefs are about poppies, which I don't think anyone in the world is anti-poppies for Remembrance Day. Whoever said that, stop blaming everything that you could possibly be angry about and finding things to be angry about and blaming it on people with different color skin.
It is very out of touch. The problem, I think they've let Don Cherry fall out of the scope of what it originally was for.
Yeah.
And it was, supposed to like talk about things going on in the hockey world and Don Cherry fighting the Russians.
And you know, I want to apologize.
But now it's kind of just old man yells at cloud.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's CBC just trying to keep him because they want people to tune in, or I don't know what the reason is for letting it fall out of scope. But regardless of how you feel about anything in of the political world or anything, it's not even about that. It's about remembering the people who sacrificed their lives to allow people to have these freedoms. It's not about left, right, or anything. So it's very poorly timed and very distasteful. And a lot of people are giving Ron MacLean a lot of flack for that because he just kind of sat there and I think we know him kind of, and he kind of gets dragged through Don's shit a lot. So it's who are we to say what we would do in that place in his
Ron
place?
MacLean, before as we were recording this episode,
the first thing Ron MacLean did on Hometown Hockey tonight was apologize for Don Cherry and for not saying anything when he should have. And if there's anyone I believe on TV who says apologies, it's him, because he is all about diversity and freedoms and whatnot.
He did not. He also did this important thing. He did not apologize if he offended anyone or for anyone who may have been offended. He apologized for what happened. It was a straight up apology.
Yeah.
You know what? We had the privilege of interviewing Ron MacLean, and we had conversation with him off the air as well. I understand where people were coming from, but that's not who Ron MacLean is.
No.
Well, on that note, let's lighten things up and head over to overtime, which of course is brought to you by Motor City Garages. They're a family-owned and operated company servicing Metro Detroit. They do garage flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, wall storage, fleecing other teams for high-level talents with zero risk, and car lifts. Enough of the messy garages everyone is sick of walking through. It's time to turn it into something useful. Whether you like to work on your car or if you'd like an organized space, we have you covered. 3D designs and lifetime warranty. Motor City Garages, park in style. We're going to start off with Patreon, where our patrons were excited. Whoa, 28 today. Matt Cheney, who corrected me on how to pronounce his name, it's Cheney. So Matt Cheney says, Yzerplan traded a bottom six forward for a 2014 first-round pick that used to play with Bert. This is some five-head 4D chess. My question is this what it feels like to have Steve Yzerplan as a GM? I'm like Neo. I'm beginning to believe we'll get out of the bottom. This is exactly what it's like to have Steve Yzerplan as a GM. You guys think he turned Tampa Bay into Tampa Bay overnight? No. Stuff like this is exactly how it started. Austin Trotman says, if you could pick any player who you would like to see reunited with a former junior/college teammate, who would it be?
I'm assuming it has to be a Red Wing.
Maybe.
Dylan Larkin's rights are owned by the Erie Otters. I would like to see him reunited with Connor McDavid.
That's the only answer. And I'm very impressed that you know that.
I'm trying to think who else. Dylan Larkin and Kyle Connor?
Quinn Hughes?
Together in Michigan?
Did Quinn Hughes have
Nah, well,
together?
Oh, they didn't overlap.
But maybe they could have. So we'll say Dylan Larkin and Quinn Hughes.
Trying to think. Too bad Marty Firk wasn't still on the team. Love to see him reunited with Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, it would have been okay. Joshua Bazura says, hey boys, I'm sure everyone's already gushing over the Fabbri trade, but one thing I really love about what I saw Friday night is that I think with having him in a shooting position in the slot, teams will eventually be slightly more wary about covering Mantha. I think he might be able to improve the power play a lot just because we'll have more than one consistent shooting position opening up.
When you have
more
different aspects to your power play, you can get more opportunities.
Anyways, let's assume we get Krug next season and have something nice to think about. Would you pair him with Hronik to have an actual top pair? Keep Hronik with DeKaiser, put Krug with Cholowski. Personally, I'd pair Hronik with Krug and then get crazy out with DeKaiser and Seider, and then Nemeth and Cholowski on the third. I think they'd complement each other well. Take it easy and keep up the good work, boys.
I took a quick dive into Boston's subreddit. If they lose Torrey Krug, that city will burn.
They might let him walk. They might not want to pay him what he'll get on the open market.
I wasn't fully sold on offering all the money in the world to Torrey Krug, but if Boston's going to burn, offer him double.
Yeah, I got $5 right now.
That's $15 million contract.
We will start the GoFundMe.
Yeah, that would be nice. I would like one Torrey Krug.
Torrey Krug, I would love to see Krug Hronik. I think you want to put your best players eating up the most ice time. It's not like the Red Wings have depth on defense, so you
just go all out offense, Krug Hronik, and then go all out on defense, Nemeth Seider.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. I'm here for it.
Haroon Khan says, hey guys, what do you think would be a good trade to ship Abdelkader or Nielsen out? And anything.
Conditional 7th, and that condition is that Justin Abdelkader scores a goal on the moon for his new team.
Both of them are slowly diminishing the little value they do have left, so why not trade them now?
Who was the other one other than Abdelkader?
Nielsen. They quite literally have zero trade value. They have negative trade value. The only way you're trading them is if you give up a sweetener. So you get a conditional 7th where the condition you get air quotations get a conditional 7th, in which case the condition would never be met, and you also send them half decent prospect or a pick.
Kyle Dubas had to give away a first-round pick to trade away 1 year Patty Marleau.
So imagine what it would cost to get rid of 4 years of Justin Abdelkader?
4 years of Justin Abdelkader, 3 years of Franz Nielsen.
Come on,
is that including this season?
That's including this season.
That helps.
Well, if we get a lockout, maybe we get 2 compliance buyouts.
Well, no, but they're playing out the entire CBA.
What?
Remember the extension?
Yeah. Nobody's untradeable. We saw that with Milan Lucic, but it'll be exceedingly difficult with them.
At least Milan Lucic has one aspect of his game a team might find enticing.
Yeah, he sucker punches people.
It wasn't a sucker punch, Ryan. Brad and I discussed this already.
That got into a lengthy topic.
I probably look like Don Cherry now.
Kalen Wood says, hey guys.
Look at me, Don. Look at me. I'm Don Cherry now.
haven't had a chance to congratulate Brad on the new bundle of joy, so congrats on losing more money and sleep. I'll be buying video games and sleeping till noon. I don't really have any question, but do want to just send some good vibes to Detroit. They're definitely under a metric crap ton of scrutiny from fans and the league alike. Just want to remind everyone that if you are listening to this podcast, you are a fan first and foremost. Let's remember why we're here. It's a dang marriage. Speaking of which, Ryan, Evan,
Think about how good this will feel when we're a competitive team again and we're contending for cups. The pain will all be worth it, and that win will feel so much better.
He was also asking when you're going to propose.
Next question.
Through the good and bad, we got to be here for them. That's all for now.
Wait, was that my girlfriend who wrote that comment? Who was that?
It was one mystery cat.
Yeah, not
6969.
not Catherine.
Evan Beckner says Seider is on a mission to physically destroy the AHL. I know I commented on his physical play last week, but he stepped it up even more. I still argue he's the number one prospect. Dude is a force. You love to see that side of his game because that'll be exciting once he brings us to the NHL. Garrett TV says, sup hockey amigos. Want to give Brad some love for calling out again last episode of Blashill's ineffective system strategies that remain in use despite consistently failing for his entire tenure. Stationary wingers at the blue line targeted by aimless clappers from our D is totally useless, and the lack of movement that results in chip and chase hockey is truly making my eyeballs bleed. And I think this strategy is having a resulting impact how we approach our own positioning defensively, as well as approaching forechecking. Is that a reasonable assumption? It feels like we're stuck having too much reliance on individual efforts, making up for systemic failures, and that's problematic. You don't need a good roster to move away from this. It's just a lack of awareness of what systems work in today's NHL. Despite the nice Boston win, the Blash system is still failing us, leaving me torn because as much as I want it gone, it's really helping our Lafreniere odds. Let's go Red Wings. Yeah, you don't see too much deviance from Blashill's set systems. We have seen a little bit more this year. He's trying some different things, but essentially the only players who are trying those are the players with the skill to accomplish them.
So one line.
Yeah. Maybe too soon. I hate the chip in and then chase it around. I hate the stationary winger. It's just such an easy, predictable breakout to tackle, and zone entries are also easy to beat, but they are, I think, doing better in both departments this year.
It's also when you have that stationary winger down there, it handcuffs the defenseman because you just gave one less breakout option for them to pass to.
Adam Flatt says, good evening, gents. Just Evan? Can you think of any other 2014-2015 first-round rescue projects we could or should target?
Oh, God. Talk a little slower so I can pull the draft up.
And what would we have to give up?
20...
What draft was it?
2014.
And 2015, so
Yeah.
you go.
I'll do 2014.
Okay, I'll go 2015, and I'll find a reclamation project.
We'll come back to it. Sean Chiavarella. I'm sorry, man.
I nailed it last time, and he commented on it.
Chiavarella?
Chavarella.
Damn it. Hey, guys, so we're finally seeing Yzerman's Jedi mind tricks at work. Awesome trading for Fabbri. With Roenick telling Brad the Rat Marchand how he felt about him with his fists, are we going to see him step up into more of a leadership role in this team? With the vets being phased out once Green is gone, will he be the next defenseman with a letter, or will it be DeKaiser? If Blashill's the coach, it will definitely not be Hronik, I can tell you that. It will absolutely be DeKaiser.
Josh Hosang.
Oh,
Boom,
yeah.
there it is. I'm actually surprised we didn't claim him on waivers, but old boys club.
Hasn't he gone through waivers twice now? Or maybe just once?
At least once.
Yeah, Josh. Everett, our favorite Everett, says, now that Ryan is back, it's time for everyone's least favorite game, the revisionist wrangle. Ryan, you're the judge, which means Brad and Evan are set to square off. In 2012, the Detroit Red Wings traded a first-round pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning for defenseman Kyle Quincy. That first-round pick would eventually become Andrei Vasilevsky. In 2015, the Detroit Red Wings traded Matthias Backman and Matthias Janmark in a second in the upcoming draft for forward Eric Cole and a conditional third that would never end up being applicable. That second-round pick would eventually become Rupe Hintz. Which of these two trades, if prevented, would have been better for Detroit moving forward, assuming that the Red Wings would have selected the same player that Tampa or Dallas
Not
selected?
doing that trade?
Not doing that trade. So one of you picks the Vasilevsky trade and one of you picks the Hintz trade.
I dibs on Vasilevsky. That's a toss.
I can't even defend the other one.
Yeah, trading all that for Eric Cole. Oh, this is for you guys, actually.
Yeah, Kyle Quincy, real bad. Andrei Vasilevsky, arguably best goalie in the league. Evan, go.
Eric Cole has no back. Rupe Hintz puts the team on his back.
Better pun, but literally Vasilevsky might be
Yeah, I
best goalie
mean,
in
yeah,
hockey,
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to overthink this one.
See, that didn't work for me, but Brad gets the toss-up. Anyway, Spencer Post says, hey, guys, you haven't heard from me in a long time, and no, it's not because I'm jaded about the Central Division preview. I just figured I'd give your voices all a break. Today, I swear I'm keeping this short and sweet. If the Detroit Red Wings end up with the first overall pick, should there be a real conversation about taking Quinton Byfield over Alexei? I look at the center depth, and it's really Larkin and Veleno as the guys of the future. Maybe Christopher N as your 3C, and Stevie Y gives Luke Glendening a lifetime contract to be 4C. Seriously, though, at this point, it looks like Lafreniere will be a Marian Hossa two-way winger type and would probably immediately play Detroit's top six. But to me, Byfield looks like Evgeny Malkin, but way faster. And like I said, I like Veleno, but liking Veleno shouldn't stop anyone in the Wings front office from taking Byfield if they think he's the better fit. So I'm asking you 2/3 to debate it amongst yourselves. Who would you prefer they take at first overall?
Lafreniere.
Lafreniere, you always take talent, but it is fair that you should bring up the conversation.
It absolutely needs to be a real conversation, but as soon as you start drafting for need, you make mistakes.
Byfield has the body and the skill to play in the NHL next season.
Yeah, but Byfield, so does Lafreniere, because don't forget, Lafreniere's a late birthday. He's already 18 years old and will be close to 19 by the time he debuts in the NHL next year. And I think again, not that Marian Hossa is a bad player. He's an amazing hockey player, but I feel like calling Lafreniere Hossa is selling him short. With the style of game Lafreniere plays, he's Crosby light. He's not going to be Sidney Crosby, so get that out of your heads right away, even though he plays for Rimouski as well. But he's that style of player, and he's that top line winger who could score 80 to 100 points a season on the regular and still be reliable.
He does everything very, very well.
That's the thing with Lafreniere. There's no holes in his game. None. Zero. Some people criticize his skating, which is valid. I don't think it's as big an issue as it's been made out to be, and most of the pundits are starting to agree on that. I mean, the dude's at almost 3 points a game right now in the queue. It's absurd.
Everybody loves the classic 1 versus 2 Taylor versus Tyler, or whatever that one was, and Jack Eichel versus Connor McDavid, and it's just like everybody needs to relax.
You need it for the conversation points, but like, and we're still so early in the season. I don't know if Quentin Byfield's this elite, or if he's this elite because he's so much physically ahead of everybody, all his peers in the OHL right now. I'm not.
He doesn't play that style of game as much. He can bump the body around, but he does have exceptional finishing.
Oh no, he's got all the skill in the world, but it's just
that always comes up.
It's
because he's
amplified.
huge.
Yeah.
I know we talk a lot about centers driving lines, and that's because the Red Wings have much more depth at wing than center, but wingers can still very well drive the play.
Hello, Mark Stone.
Hello, Mitch Marner.
Who is out for 4 weeks, by the way.
4 weeks.
Can't wait to hear about that for 4 weeks on TSN.
Oh, God. Joseph Delia says, sup, my dudes. Mo Money, Stacks, Cider, Baby Z, and the Guelph Connection. That's all send tweet. Yako Ryuta says, well. The Wings have a pulse. It was nice to see A-Wood making a video highlight for the Wings. Couldn't catch that game, but will try my best to see the game today. Is it possible to be happy while watching Red Wings hockey? Yes. See the last 2 games.
When we dissect the end of the season, we'll think about the Mantha 4-goal game and the Robby Fabbri 2-goal game.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Boston game in like 18% of the last game.
But 100% of that recap will be fun. Matt Platt says, since the Fabbri debut, I've never been more confident in the Yzerplan. Unreal return, definitely fueled by Blues GM's promise to Fabbri, but damn, what a fleecing. How do we feel about a Bertuzzi, Larkin, Fabbri line followed with Athanasiou, Flip, Mantha? Feels like the only logical choice with the clear Bert Fabbri connection. We all know Blashill won't do it, though. I'm actually in favor of keeping Mantha on the top line.
Well, then you didn't pay enough attention to the last 12 minutes of the game today, because Fabbri was up with Larkin and Bertuzzi.
No, but I'm in favor of keeping Mantha on the top line.
No, yeah. But Blashill already had his blender out.
Mantha, I think, isn't a kind of talent that can't produce without top line mates, but with the amount of goals that he can put out, you have to maximize that.
Hey, they had him out with Fabbri on a line change and it ended up in a goal.
Well, keep Fabbri out. Larkin, Fabbri, Mantha.
There we go. Sorry, Bert.
Athanasiou, Bertuzzi.
Guy.
Yeah, actually, no, that doesn't make sense. You would think that having Fabbri would allow Bertuzzi to move down the lineup, which is actually a huge advantage, but you can't have 3 wingers on a line. Although maybe the Red Wings will try it. Fabbri is supposed to be a center, kind of.
Unless his knee heals like the $6 million man, I don't know if he's going to be a center at this level again.
My first thought was, holy shit, they filled out their center depth. And then by the time I had to realize what he had played since his injuries, I'm like, all right, he barely ever played center in the NHL. But it's still in theory. And you know what? Blashill will try him there.
It's always nice to have a potential option.
K-Waz says, so Fabbri had a nice start, huh? I had a random feeling that they'd beat Boston. To be honest, if the Wings lost every game except those against Boston and Toronto, I could accept it.
I'm here for it.
Do you guys agree with my thoughts that Stevie is trying to acquire skill as best he can?
Yes.
Now about that defense. Life note, I just had my first graded simulator event for flying the front seat in the T-45. We land visually using something called the Improved Fresnel Lens Optical Landing System.
What the hell are we talking about?
He's training in the Air Force.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those words are too long.
we call it the ball. That thing is really hard to fly, man. He sent me his like that G-force test once. That thing looks nuts.
Oh, do they like spin you around? Is
Yeah.
that maybe that's like super old? I don't know.
That's going to be a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
I'll just poo everywhere. Poo everywhere.
Chris Roberts says, hey guys, so was that the game when Fabbri scored both those goals and that place was about as loud as opening night? Seems like I always get lucky when I go to the games because they always win whenever I go. But we need to temper expectations for Fabbri because although he can be a very good player, it doesn't mean he's going to light the world on fire like he did on Friday.
He's not a line driver.
But what is the deal with Pierre McGuire saying about Zadina getting traded?
Oh my God.
And if he does, what would the return even look like? Sorry if this comment is everywhere, but keep up the good work, you guys and Evan.
This is why you don't read just the headline.
Yeah, that article was...
that was kind of out of context and paraphrased very poorly.
Yeah, it was...
I wish I had the full quote available. Because it made a lot more sense when you actually kind of read it.
Essentially, the person asking the questions, I don't know who it was, asked some pretty leading questions. And at one point they asked, would it be fair to say that Zadina is more likely to be traded by a GM that didn't draft him? And Pierre was like, yeah, obviously. Any GM that comes in and they didn't draft that player, they're obviously more likely than his predecessor to trade that player. So I think that's a fair statement. And then they asked if Yzerman do you like if Yzerman had reports that said Quinn Hughes was a better pick than Zadina at the time at 6 overall? Essentially, they were like very anti-Zadina questions. He never explicitly said that Zadina.
If Zadina hated puppies, would he still have gone at 6?
Oh.
Question.
No, of course not.
No.
I don't think I have a lot of criticisms with Pierre Maguire. That I don't think he actually outright said Zadina was going to get traded. It was kind of a wacky interview that got taken out of context. Joseph Fournier says, "Hey there, fellas. Loved watching our boys pot a few and win, but a friendly reminder, they still didn't play good. They won because a broken clock is right twice a day. We can expect better looks on the power play with Fabbri now, like a breath of fresh air. Fabbri has injected some freshness into what's been a stale PP unit. I guess you can call it Fabbri-SY. This pun brought to you by Stay Fresh Cheese Bags. The FNSU 1-for-1 trade game will return soon, but in lieu of that this week, what is the highest possible pick you could fetch in a 1-for-1 trade?
Athentu?
First.
Like, how specific do you want to get? I'll say 18.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking like 15th. Like, I think that's perfectly fair to say. I went to Madison Square Garden Wednesday to watch them play the Rangers. What an arena. Not a bad seat in the house. I got to watch the full game and see some aspects we don't get from TV. Biggest surprise? Away from the puck, Helm and Abdelkader looked particularly strong. Not very skilled against their opponents, but positionally, they knew where to go. Surprisingly, Bertuzzi and Mantha looked weak away from the play, especially without Larkin, who, by the way, is incredibly faster watching the game in person. Wow, he is relentless. Last thing I noticed was Filppula, Helm, and Nemeth doing a lot of on-ice coaching during breaks, but not Blashill. I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but I expect a head coach to be much more vocal and communicative, to evaluate, to teach on the fly, especially with a team like this with the record they have, and there's little to none of it. Also, his system was so boring to watch that even the Rangers fans sitting around me felt sorry for the Red Wings' awful on-ice product. They were befuddled as to why the Red Wings are this bad, so I am now firmly on the fire Blashill train. Fabbri might have just saved Disco Dan's job for now, but I'm all for Ricard Gronberg. Blashill has to go ASAP. Stay fresh, cheese bags. It's a long season. Hashtag despair for Lafreniere. Hashtag yield for Byfield. Mike Gemignani says, good insert time of day here, guys. I've been fortunate as of late to have a good amount of Wings podcasts to listen to with the Winged Wheel podcast and Maxim Prashant as well, so I might be getting my wires crossed a bit here. I believe they talked about how Perlini had a history playing with Larkin, but debated that it would be unfair to bump him up the lineup to play with him just to see what he's capable of. Yeah, I don't think he would want to do that with Perlini.
Before we had Fabbri, I would have, just because, again, I'm very pro not Darren Helm or Justin Abdelkader on the top line. I would have given him a look, because at that point, couldn't have gone any worse. Given what the Red Wings have, I actually like the way their top six is constructed now and would like it left that way.
Yeah.
Which means the goose egg line remains intact. We got to think of a good name for that line. The bagel? The bagels?
The bagels? No.
The bagels, what's other euphemism
Donuts.
for zeros? The donuts.
Yeah.
The donuts.
The donuts is good. It's kind of
donuts.
insulting. During the Boston game, Fabbri looked real good, has history with Bert, and their chemistry obviously paid off. My question is, if we were to put Fabbri on the first line with Larkin and Bertuzzi, allowing Mantha to play with Athanasiou on the second line, is that seemingly the best course of action? Is that snubbing anyone in the lineup to the point where Blash probably won't consider it? Look, it'll happen because it's Blashill. And I think you have to try that combination, especially if Athanasiou can work with Mantha the way that Larkin could, or at least close to it. Whatever it is won't stick, because there's still not enough true top six talent there quite yet. As always, stay fresh, cheese bags, and congrats to Brad on baby Hank. P.S. So no one feels left out. Ryan, congrats on the cruise, and Evan, congrats on talking in Ryan's absence. Simon Anderson says, hey boys, I just love that things are actually happening. He's tuned out, eh? He's gone.
I'm done. It's past my bedtime.
There's small things, but it's still something. Fabbri trade, Perlini trade, Erickson and Grand Rapids. Keep it going, Stevie. Just don't trade picks. Regarding Fabbri, was Doug Armstrong just being nice to him? Yeah.
Yeah, literally, yes.
Let him get a fresh start. Nothing against De La Rose, but don't see what the Blues see in him. I mean, GMs are weird. They see an effective fourth line player and they forget the fact that a lot of other guys could do that. I know they like their Sunkfist and Barbershop type of players, and De La Rose might, on his best day, be a light version of them. But the skill's just not there. He might even be back in Europe after the season. Fabbri might not be what he was when he was drafted, and injury has slowed him down. But man, 1-for-1, that is weird. Liz B says it's It's what, like 6 points in the past 8 games for noted first round bust Zadina. Guess Yzerplan should trade him now. Maybe they can get a 7th round pick for him. And shut up, Pierre. Just shut up. I had kind of forgotten he was still employed till the Zadina comments. Philip Gastineau says, how many points is Bertuzzi going to end the year with? Oh, it's a good question. How many points does he have now? 16 and 19 games?
59.
I was going to say 54 again. Like, I don't know.
I just like the symmetry of the 59 there.
I think he'll finish in the 50s again, barring some kind of injury, because he's only going to get top 6 minutes.
Yeah, my predictions are Bertuzzi finishes with 59 points, Larkin finishes with 71 points, and Mantha finishes with 39 goals.
No, 40, Brad. David Neats, sorry, the third says, hey boys, been a while since I've ridden in and wanted to brag about my little brother getting to play at the LCA the other day before the unfortunate Nashville game that we went to after. Now for a question, where do you congratulations to David's little brother. That's awesome, man. Now, where do you realistically see Detroit finishing the season? There has to be a stretch where we win a few and possibly go up a spot or two, right? Thanks for going back to 2 epis a week to help this fan base through this train wreck, and congrats, Brad, on the Sun. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thank you. 29th to 31st.
I still am confident in 31st.
It's Ottawa, LA, Detroit, and then everybody else.
Oh, man, we have a few questions left. Don Mitchell says, been a minute since my last comment, longer than a sentence. I hope the Crisco family is still doing well. Hope Ryan got scurvy only because he's beating me in fantasy, and I hope Evan took a nap so he's not tired. I'd like to get your opinion on my observation of the current state of the Red Wings. Seeing this group of players isn't exactly a team, I'd call the Red Wings more of a club. Am I way off base thinking that there isn't a ton of team chemistry or bonding? Players that normally have posted Instagram stories together haven't since training camp. Not a ton of pushback at all from guys when someone gets ran, and when things go well and the Wings social media releases locker room footage, it's a scene of disconnected individuals who sound like they're reading from a script because they know they're being recorded. I'm not a fan of what I've seen on the ice or behind the scenes stuff. I'm not too sure about that. I honestly don't read into it too much. I never like to comment on what happens behind the scenes because we'd be lying if we say we knew. For it to get into a pretty apparent on ice product, it would have to be something pretty aggressive that happened. I don't think that's been the case.
I think it's just a general apathy about being on a really...
It's hard to be on a shitty team.
Yeah.
I'd also like to know if you guys think that these recent trades are Yzerplan making waves in the room or a deviation from what he was planning on doing. The Perlini trade seemed like a move from left field. The Fabbri trade, St. Louis being a gift. Do you see more moves before the end of the year? Will we see these newly acquired players being moved again before the deadline? With 14 RFAs at the end of the year, who do we re-sign or move? Lastly, the Wings go to all 3 Cali teams. What's the week's record going to be? Sorry for the long post. Cheers, Don.
So we have 2 bad teams and 1 good team. So I'm saying
1-1-1.
1 and 2.
2 bad teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going 1 and 2.
I don't think Yzerman's trying to make waves in the room. I think he's stocking on talent. It's just as simple as that. Simple solution. Matt Balker says, hey guys, just recently became a patron after listening since the beginning of last season. Matt, thank you so much and welcome to the Winged Wheel podcast family. It's been very cool to watch you guys grow, getting your first sponsors and interviewing the likes of McCarty and Lidstrom, all big achievements to be proud of. Between you guys and Dangle, I had enough hockey to listen to during the 10 to 12 hours of commuting for work. Now with a new, much better job and shorter commute, I try to fit Steve in when I can. Sorry for mentioning the Leafs here, but here's my question. With the likes of Zach Hyman and Dermott getting healthy and Toronto at the cap, a couple of people seem to think the Leafs might offload Nylander for cap relief. Is it too much of a stretch to think Athanasiou plus something or someone on a serviceable contract for him? Cheers and congrats on losing even more sleep, Brad.
And now even more sleep.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I know everyone says Dubas gave Nylander his word, but Dubas is learning very quickly how to be a successful GM, and that's by making the tough moves. So I don't think he'd be averse to moving Nylander for the right deal. Athanasiou is also up as an RFA.
Yeah. Nylander's making 6.9 right now. How low do you think Athanasiou's next contract's going to be? Because I don't think it's going to be any less than 5.5 at best.
At best. If he puts up 30 again, it won't be 5.5.
It'll be pretty damn close to Nylander's.
Would I like to see Detroit trade for Nylander? Yes, of course. Absolutely. But I don't think it'll come.
I don't think Detroit has what Toronto would want in return.
Detroit will not give up their first-round draft pick, and that's kind of the end of the conversation. Rowan says, good day, Duds. I was checking on our favorite Western Ontario Athletic Association senior AA hockey team, the Milverton Four-Wheel Drives, and I noticed they've had a series of shootout games, which is obviously pretty exciting. Thought I'd give you a peek at player stats, so I clicked onto the dudprospects.com to see the number 28 in your program and last in your heart, Bradley Jonathan, least popular podcast host Crisco, with 2 goals, 1 assist in 5 games. Now, I know what you're thinking. Not bad, but it's a far cry from noted leader Winston Sestnick with his 5 goals and 4 assists. Most troubling is the goalie situation, where one of them has a 10.34 goals against average. The others are 6.91 and 4.15. Man, I thought the Wings goalies had it rough, but it seems like the 4-wheel drives don't play defense at all. Jersey time. Brad, you dummy, you didn't even answer this last week, which is surprising given they're your favorite team. But what did you think of the Dallas Winter Stars class?
We did talk about it.
We absolutely talked about that.
Ryan, since you're back in, weigh on this in the Preds jersey as well. Say fresh cheese bags. Love the Dallas one. I think that logo should be their new primary logo. Might be unpopular opinion. I don't love the Nashville ones. I think they're okay. I think the word mark is boring, and it's also, why does the P touch the bottom but nothing touches the top?
I always wonder that, Ryan.
It wasn't. I think Dallas's are substantially better.
Until someone, I like the Dallas ones a lot. Until someone pointed out that the way that the logo structure, you can argue it spells out STDRs. Now
it's a public health announcement.
I can't not see that now, and it makes it that much better.
Arjun Shankar says, "Hey Ryan, hope you had a good vacation. If the Red Wings lose again because you came back, we're just going to stick you on a boat for good." Man, I wish they lost. The boat was nice. I'm pleasantly surprised that apparently mine is the only name that Evan knows. Just saying, I totally called it in Slack about this last game. I will load this when I get the chance. Funny story, yesterday, while drunk, forgot to press the button for my floor on the elevator. Went to the top floor, guy came on, and I said, "Hey, aren't you an Avs player? Are you Sam Girard?" And he said, "No, I'm Tyson Yost," and laughed. Oops. That's amazing.
Man, at work sometimes I'm like I'm on my phone in the elevator, and I've done this once where my floor came and went, and I was still in the elevator, and there was no one else on it. It just started going down, and I'm like, what happened?
You just zonk out. Eh?
Yeah. Or a few times I've just walked out because I thought it was my stop. And I'm like,
happen. And then you have to pretend that's your floor.
It's like, oh yeah, I got a meeting on this floor. I'm not a dumbass.
Arjun called Fabbri scoring in his first game. Finally, Brad, where the frick is Rowan getting all these photos of you from your youth? Did he steal a photo album from your parents' house or something?
I legitimately don't know, but since they started surfacing, I've made all my social medias except Twitter private. So if anybody else is looking for them,
I'm sure there's other ways to get them.
There's definitely other ways to get them.
I can be bought. Michael Barry says, Yzerplan recently asked a player if he smoked weed for the draft. It was Kirby Doc. What are your thoughts on this, the tough interview questions aspect, and any questions you'd be afraid to answer Yzerplan if he asked you?
No,
I think it's funny as hell.
How many days per week do you at McDonald's? And there I am just sweating bullets. I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
How long have you spent in the drive-thru at King of Columbia McDonald's?
Days. I don't even need the app anymore. I've just got a chip implanted in my arm.
Honestly, there was a time when they had the coffee promotions or the free fries if the Raptors scored 12 three-pointers that I was there like 4 days a week.
They don't even spend a lot. They don't even say anything. They just say, "You again?"
Yeah. They go, "Oh boy." Yeah.
Awkward draft questions.
I think first of all, I think that question from Yzerplan is hilarious. Very obviously, he was messing around. I think it's funny as hell.
Anyway, but no, the whole reason I was listening to an interview, I think it was on Craig Custance' podcast, where he had a sports psychologist on, and they don't care about what the questions are or what the right answer is. They just want to see how you're going to answer it.
How you think on your feet is very important in real life and probably in hockey.
Yeah, because one team apparently asked Spencer Knight, how did they phrase it? What's more important to you, stopping pucks or preventing goals?
Preventing goals.
I mean, that's the answer I would have went with, but then you have to explain it.
We're going to have some questions from Twitter and Reddit. From Reddit, Lozak X says, can someone update Brad that Raymond looks pretty disappointing, basically having zero impact in the SHL and looking meh in the under-20 league, and we're all on the Stützle hype train for now.
I'm still on the Raymond hype train.
Stützle's very entertaining.
Apparently, I was listening to a podcast. It might be pronounced Stoitzel.
Stoitzel. I mean, it would make sense.
Going Neutzel for Stoitzel? There we go. Title.
He's got the two little dots, whatever that means in German, above
those
the
umlauts?
Umlauts. Dude, he linked to this streamable video, and this guy absolutely just dummies this whole team. Like, the guy's a freak.
Who, Stoitzel?
Yeah.
Stützle?
Yeah.
Timmy? Little Timmy the German.
Max Smash says, can you provide some examples of former first rounders who blossomed on a new team? Pretty hyped for Bobby Eyebrows and want to daydream about what he could become.
We've got a very good example
Kyle
on the show
Quincy.
right now.
No, wait, he wasn't drafted in the first.
Dylan Strome.
Yeah.
That's very recent. And apparently maybe Alex Nylander at the same time.
Brendan Smith. Oh, wait, never mind.
You guys, I'm half kidding. Only half kidding. Dan Cleary.
That took a while.
It took a long time, but Dan Cleary.
That took a while. It's happened numerous times though.
What about, was Chris Draper a first round pick?
Definitely not.
No? I don't know.
Well, he wasn't an NHL draft.
They didn't
pick.
do the draft back then.
Taylor Hall.
No, he was. Yzerplan says, "What's the worst job? Playing netminder behind the Red Wings defense or running Sportsnet's PR Twitter?"
Oh boy.
You hopefully only have to be the Sportsnet PR Twitter once in a while.
Yeah.
With the Red Wings goaltending, you have to be there for at least half the season.
So there's 52. Oh, sorry, how long is the hockey season? There's 30 coaches' corners during the regular season, give or take. There's 82 Red Wings games. So.
Yeah. With that, we're going to wrap up this week's episode. Thank you guys for putting up with my disjointed vacation brain and for putting up with these two meatheads over the past week. We will see you midweek. Probably Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll be there.
It'll probably be Thursday for me.
Thursday.
Oh, my plane's at 8 a.m. on Wednesday. I'm out.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to make it on Wednesday.
I know it was a joke.
Oh. We want to thank all of our listeners, our name-level sponsors, Luke Johnson, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langa Beer, Matthew M. Rice, Ryan Lewis, Sean Levine, Matt McKay, Hannah Lee, Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Simon Anderson. Thank you all so much. Enjoy having beat Boston and Vegas. Enjoy the Robby Fabbri hype before we all come crashing back down to earth, and we will see you midweek.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockeytown Evan.